You believe that. You
Well,
believe that in your head. Like, you've convinced yourself that Jeremiah Love is better at football at his own position than Jeremiah Smith is at his.
well, okay. When you got to look at the whole picture though.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Cards and Content. A lot to get into on today's episode. We will sit down with our guy Gabe Card Stacks for a more in-depth what happened at the end of the 2025 college football regular season and what is ahead. Rivalry weekend is over, but championship weekend is here. We're not far from Heisman. We're not far from CFP. We'll get into that. Look at some value box plays there. A lot of fun conversation happening. So we'll get into that here before too long. But no interview guest today. But I think we currently have the next six. I won't say the next number. 6 to 8. 6 to 8 podcast guests lined up here for the next couple of weeks. Have some really cool ones coming up. Some ones I'm excited about. Again, just some different people in the hobby doing different things. So, stay tuned. The next couple episodes are going to be really good, right? Before, during, and even after the holidays. So I think that's really what's on my mind right now as we start this today with, the usual, what is on my mind today. That would be just this time of year. I think we talked a little bit about this in last week's episode. Black Friday has come and gone. If that is any indication on what the end of Q4 will bring, what December will bring, it will be just pure mayhem. Black Friday in shop, online, both were record-setting days for our company. Number of transactions, dollars, a lot of things. So, first thing that comes to mind is, again, if you supported in either of those areas, the shop or the website, I'm very appreciative of that and understand how, important that is to, a small business like us. And I'll get into some of the, the thoughts about the business, but I would be, pretty, I don't want to skip over the fact that I am how grateful I am for really, people spending time coming in store or browsing our website or even supporting us. I know we had a Whatnot stream that night as well. So if you were a part of any of those, please understand it does not go unnoticed. So we try to get those out as fast as possible. I think every single thing that we sold on the website or on our Whatnot stream, and we're talking a lot of orders, was shipped no later than Tuesday. So again, a really big Friday, big, Saturday, Small Business Saturday, Monday is Cyber Monday. So it's kind of we talk a lot about it here, but an insane time of the year because it is the single busiest 4-day stretch, really, like without going to like a show. Like Fanatics Fest in the National, that time period will be crazy. But this is like the single busiest stretch of the year. And then it's also Thanksgiving, right, on Thursday. So, if people that travel and go home and are off and, it's how do you prepare to run the single biggest selling day and days of the year while people are on holiday and enjoying time off. That is always, kind of a tricky balance as like a business owner and also, someone who has a kid and a wife and is trying to, be other titles other than businessman on that day, on those days. So a little bit of a challenge, but it's, we got through it, man. Have some great people doing some great things here. And those couple days were awesome. So if those are any indication on what is coming, I think we're in for a treat. And we'll get into it in a second. I want to probably end for the end of the show. We always end with like latest launch. So the products coming out, like what is coming in the next few weeks. It is bananas. I mean, crazy. A couple major tops releases. Some of the biggest of the year. We'll get into those in a second with Chrome Basketball and Update Baseball with the MLB debut patch auto. You've got some major Panini products coming out college football. I mean, Prism Draft drops today, Bowman's Best drops Friday, and National Treasures Collegiate Football drops next week. If you're a college football collector like me, and you've had Bowman Chrome and Sapphire and Prism Draft FOTL in the last couple weeks, and now you get those, I mean, if you're a college football guy, man, this is college football product season. I mean, all of these products out at one time. And we're days away from championship weekend. We're a week and a half away from the Heisman Trophy, and we're 2.5 weeks away from the first CFP games. I mean, this is electric. This is the best time for all my college football fans out there. So, yeah, a lot to get into. There's also, again, busy with the holidays and this time of year. Again, just in general, just like Black Friday, it's there's just a lot going on. So, on that topic of a lot going on, last show of the year. Fort Wayne Card Show. This is the last one our team puts on of the year. The Cruise Plaza. I'll look this up. Again, it's spelled different. It's spelled differently than it's pronounced. This is the Cruise Plaza Hangar Room in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So 250-ish tables. Doing a free admission on this one. If you bring a toy to this, brand new toy, can get entered to win a plethora of different prizes. Zion cases. Our team has, got together. There's some PSA grading credit, a lot of different things you can win. So you got free admission at the show 9 to 3 p.m. this Saturday. Was that the 6th, December 6th? So this Saturday will be the last show for us until February 1st, when Grove City Card Fest returns. So last show for the year for us, but should be a big one. Again, nearly 250 tables, a lot of Pokemon, a lot of modern sports, some vintage. Again, as always, we have a good list of dealers at that one. Some of the best, some of the guys you see frequent at Grove City Card Fest in Shipshawana. So should be a good show. Another topic here. We talked about this. When did this happen? Probably a month ago, Brian, 3 weeks ago. Sold, I talked about using Fanatics Collect for the first time. Sold a couple cards through the guys at Acquire. Sold the Ohtani Bat Knob and the Steph Curry 2009-2010 Topps box I had for a couple years. And I didn't really heard about it. Just you sell those things and you move on. Spinatron, I think one of the best collectors in the world. His collection is, insane. He had posted about the Ohtani Bat Knob. So I knew where that card ended up, but I hadn't heard about the Curry Topps box. And I saw Woj hit a little Woj bomb, announced that he was going to be ripping the Topps basketball box that they just bought for $48,000. And that was what our box had sold for. Hasn't been any sales on that box in quite some time. So I'm assuming, again, this was our box. It was sold on Fanatics Collect. There was another recent box purchase that didn't do quite as much that had sold on Golden. So that's how I figured this was ours. 48,000 was the final number of this box. I think he did it with VIP rips on Fanatics Live. So I saw them rip it. I saw a couple different highlights in this box I thought I would share. I know one pack had 2 101 printing plates in it. In one pack, 2 101 printing plates. No Curry, unfortunately. They hit a Kobe Topps Gold to 2009, right? And they hit a Steph Curry Gold Topps rookie to 2009. So unfortunately, no Superfractor. It's one of those things. It's always that hard part, right? Is do you want a Steph Curry Superfractor to be hit and to be a part of that moment, but be on the other receiving end of that? Selfishly, I want to see the card pull. I want to see that part of hobby history. I want to see what it would do. But to know it's in a box I sold, if it would have been in a box for $48,000, that would have been tough. I mean, would that card sell for on market right now? $5 million, $10 million? Oh, that'd been a tough pill to swallow. But they did hit a big time card. They hit the Steph Curry Topps Gold rookie to numbered to 2009. Just based off the photo that they posted with Woj with the card, it doesn't appear to be in bad shape. I don't notice any major flaws on it. Maybe a little bit of white on the top, but overall it looks pretty good. I know a PSA 10 of this is like north of 70,000, so definitely a big time big time potential with this card. 6s and 7s and 8s do thousands of dollars. I think the last PSA 6, last PSA 6 did $4,671. BGS 7.5 did $5,500. You've got sales on BGS 8 for 6,500. You've got a PSA 8 end of October doing nearly 8,000. And again, the most recent PSA 10 sold on Fanatics for $72,000 right around Halloween. So a big time card if it does grade. So really cool just to see that box get open. I don't imagine there's too many of those left in the world, and now there's there's one less. So just cool to see a box like that we sold, understanding where we got it from, the history of that box, and us holding it and moving on, and just seeing a guy like Woj be involved in it. That's a basketball icon. I mean, the guy broke so many, major stories through, out my childhood. So it's just cool to see a guy like that involved, and, to see the box come to completion with that break is pretty cool. So, congrats to everybody involved in that one. But while we're on the topic of basketball, I actually didn't bring the cards with me, but I have them. Last night, we ripped a couple, Black Friday packs. This is, Panini does this promotion. You buy, think of it like the National. Very similar to the National. They've done Cyber Monday. They've done Father's Day. There's usually a couple promotions outside of the National that Panini does a year where you can buy said product and you can get silver packs, gold packs, etc. We talk about this multiple times in our content throughout the year. And Black Friday is here, and you got to buy this product, and you got a bundle, and it comes with 50 packs. And, in the 50 packs, it's multi-sport. So they've got boxing, they've got baseball, they've got basketball, they've got football, they've got NIL, Rayola, Dante Moore. There's names in it. There's racing. There's, again, Floyd Mayweather has cards. Mike Tyson has cards. A lot of guys in this. And I didn't think anything of it at first. Nothing crossed my mind about it. And I'm ripping the packs, and I hit a cool VJ Edgecombe card, and I hit Paige Beckers and Sonia Citron's in it. Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, Frankie Muniz has cards. I thought those were kind of cool. He doesn't have a ton. So I'm ripping, and I noticed, I hit a Spike Lee, I hit a Derrick Rose, and I noticed those cards, and they don't have any logos on them. And realized that for the first time, this is the first look at Panini unlicensed basketball. There isn't anything else out there. Panini, the license moved to Topps in the beginning of October, and here we are at the end of November, and for the first time, we have a look at unlicensed Panini basketball and Panini's way forward in the basketball market. I think you see some of the more obvious things with a product like with these basketball cards with no logos. A lot of the same things Topps did. So you've got the basketball in positions where the team name would be, where the logos would be. So you can cover a lot of it and make it look like it is not necessarily unlicensed. So you can improve the look there. The VJ Edgecombe is a side view. So I think it's him shooting. So that card isn't as obvious because you can't see the front of the jersey. I would imagine, I know one thing Topps did with Victor a couple times was they put him on the back, or they would face him the other way so you could see the back of his jersey where it would have his, his name. So just, again, this is, we haven't seen one of the any of these cards to this point, but we are now in the official stages of Panini without the license. So I think the next couple questions are going to be when are we going to see those kabooms? When are we going to see the next iteration of unlicensed basketball? I think this kind of went under the radar. It threw me for a loop when I saw it, but it makes sense because the license was gone in October. So now the question is what's next? When will we see more? Is it a product? Are there case hits? What does, the next iteration of this look like? So excited to see, kind of how it unfolds, but I think it's a sign that Panini is going to continue to produce basketball cards, and they're not going to run from the fact that they don't have the license. They're doing cool promotions. They have cool inserts, and I think this is a sign that they're going to continue to build on what they've done for the last 15 years. All right, we're going to get into Stock Watch. It's a little long. Again, regular season wraps up in college football. Shout out to my Buckeyes for getting it done. I'll save my rant for the Stock Watch segment. But college football season wraps up. We're getting into the good stuff now. The heart of the college football season is here. So let's kick it over to Stock Watch with our guy, Gabe Card Stacks. All right, what's going on, guys? We are back. Another segment of Stock Watch. Ladies and gentlemen, we have made it through the regular season, but now the fun starts. We are here in championship weekend. We are not far from the Heisman Trophy, and we are not far from the CFP, the second time ever with 12 teams in it. So we're going to talk about what has happened on rivalry weekend. We'll talk about what's coming up, and we'll see how the card market is reacting to some of these players, both good and bad, as always. Stock up, stock down. We're joined by the legend himself, my guy, Gabe Card Stacks. My friend, how are we doing today? How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was great. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's one of the best holidays of the year, if not the best. I had a lot of pumpkin pie. It was great. I enjoyed my Thanksgiving. I hope you had a great one as well.
Yeah, it was eventful. I wouldn't say the holiday of the year. I can't do that. Like, just not for me. I know your feelings on some of the other holidays just from our time together when you were here, but man, Thanksgiving, top holiday of the year. I just it is great, with rivalry weekend, with Black Friday. Like, it's a great collective group of days. But my birthday is also 4 days after Christmas plus New Year. The New Year's Six bowl games. Just it's hard to argue with like that 7 to 10 day stretch to close the year. That's Man, I don't know. That's another episode. I think we can get into that, and maybe some during the off season. But we had an eventful weekend, so I'll let you start. I'll get your thoughts. I'll get your takes first because I don't want to start this episode off on the wrong foot. So I'll let you go first.
Well, you know what? Rivalry weekend, one team wins, one team loses. And that's the beauty of this game. And when you wake up a winner, everything tastes a little bit more sweet. Everything smells a little bit better. You got a little pep in your step. And then you got little bro bowing down to you for the next 365 days. There's just nothing like it. And for me, Arizona played on a Friday. So it was stressful Friday night. But then going into Saturday, you're like, man, I can watch this stress free. I got nothing to worry about. All I can do is just watch football as a winner. And I was a little stressed about Ohio State just for you and our Buckeye brethren and the 11 Warriors, but I was loving Saturday. It was incredible. So just an awesome weekend of football. I got to enjoy it as a winner. There were a lot of good games, some upsets that I'm not like super thrilled about. Now we got a crazy playoff picture, crazy Heisman race kind of opened up. So just a lot to discuss about. I'm very excited.
Lot to unpack there. Really a lot to unpack. I'm gonna save my thoughts about the game, for another minute. It's funny, if anybody caught the 11 Warriors reference when Gabe was out here, made a lot of observations about the Buckeye traditions and songs and stadium names and all of those things. So it should be called Ohio State Stadium, not Ohio Stadium. 11 Warriors. We talked about that when he was out here. Like, so I caught I caught all the Columbus references in your take there. And it's funny because I told you last week, I was like, I'm the type of person that's not fun to watch the Ohio State Michigan game with. I'm not a fun person to be around. And I FaceTimed you Friday night, not understanding we were in the heart of like Arizona State, just going at it, and you were on the couch watching that. And so, my sincerest apologies for disturbing the peace there. Thankfully, you ended up winning the game, but yeah, that was an interesting couple days. I would honestly tell you, like, I thought Friday was the better day for games. I thought, with some of the games on that schedule, I thought Friday was the better day. I mean, obviously Saturday had the game that mattered the most to me, but yeah, it was great. Honestly, not as much chaos as I would have probably picked. Like, I thought there might be a little bit more of an upset. Like, Georgia didn't, beat the brakes off of Tech. I thought, that could go either way. I realized Texas is shaking up the CFP at this point with a win against an undefeated A&M team, put A&M out of the SEC title game, and then the Iron Bowl comes down to a 4th and 2 conversion. So yeah, I expected a little bit more chaos, I think, on the last weekend of the year, but I think nonetheless it was still a great weekend of games.
Yeah, yeah. I was mostly bummed about the Texas game. I've been rocking with A&M all season. I felt like they were very complete. But like Texas, I mean, they're kind of back now. Like we wrote them off after like week 4 or 5 when they were struggling with San Jose State. So now to come back, are they deserve it of a playoff spot? And that's a whole debate, right? Which I'm sure we'll get into
We're
it.
gonna
But
get into that.
um, yeah, but that one is a little bit tough for me. That I like. I really liked A&M and kind of a stinky one to lose, and now we get Texas back in the playoff picture. Trying to see some other games here. Vandy, Tennessee, we'll talk about that one. Cal,
Yep,
SMU, I was a little disappointed. SMU just blew it against
blew it.
Cal. They had a chance to lock in the ACC championship game, lost it, came back, lost the lead with 43 seconds to go, and then or
Missed a
took the
field goal,
lead.
right?
Yeah, missed the field goal to win it. So
Yeah.
yeah, tough.
Well, there was one game this weekend that went exactly how we anticipated. Um, Man, feels really, really good to sit here and just, tell you about what it's like to absolutely go up to Michigan and just dominate that fraudulent university outside of the single largest cheating scandal in the history of college football to quote unquote win a tainted national title and to think extreme relevance and all of these things are back. The man leading that charge leaves the university tainted, goes to the NFL, takes everybody with him. We lost last year. There's no denying that. But outside of those cheating years, to finally be able to put, like you said, little brother in their place and to beat Bryce Underwhelm or Bryce Underthrow or Bryce Underperform, at home. Somebody made the debate if that was the worst quarterback Ohio State's played all year. I might tell you it was. 63 total yards passing, $12 million man. This was the savior for the Michigan program, and you've never seen another freshman like him. And he told LeBron, he was going to run Ohio and all these things. Your best wide receiver. I think he was on stock up before. Shout out to you for Andrew Marsh. This guy's leading the Big Ten since Halloween in receiving yards. He had a big fat 0 for 0. And then after the game, you come into Columbus last year, you win a game, 20.5-point dogs. You win a game, yeah, for sure. Definitely disappointing for us Buckeye fans. I was there. It was freezing. It was miserable. But obviously led us on the greatest college football run ever, beating 4 straight ranked teams to win a national title, first ever for 12 team. You plant all the flag, cops are involved. It's the stain on the rivalry and what it was. But then to have some remember the Titans locker, gymnasium meetup before the game on Friday night and said, hey guys, when we lose to the Buckeyes, we're not going to let them do that. We're not going to let them. We're going to guard the M. That was the only thing they guarded all day. All day. They stood there. They rolled the equipment carts out, put them on the 50, said, we're not doing this. The whole team was in on it. While Ohio State celebrated and the fans just looking down on them. And just what a glorious day for Ohio and an absolutely amazing win against Bryce Underwhelm and that fraudulent university that is Michigan. So a great day for Buckeyes, but obviously another big one coming up. But man, it feels really, really good to send that team out of the playoff picture, out of Big Ten title race, out of anything, and off to the Poinsettia Bowl, the Potato Bowl, the Outback Bowl. Maybe Portnoy will sponsor like the Barstool Bowl. Well, maybe they'll go there. I'm not sure what it is, but it's certainly not the CFP, and feels really good to know that that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've been very vocal on Bryce Underwhelm this entire year, just paying all that money. One, paying all that money for him, and then I've been saying from the beginning of the year that's the worst wide receiver room in the Power Five. And then they had Andrew Marsh on the bench for the first month of the season. Then he finally comes up. Unfortunate. It seems like that was all they have. I mean, you got a bad quarterback, you got no weapons on the outside. It was just, hey, let's just try to run the ball. They go down to the third string, and it just felt like Ohio State was just better in the weight room, better in the depth chart, and they just physically took care of them the rest of the way. I was a little nervous at first. Their first drive, they opened up with the big run, the pick by Sayan, but everything was smooth after that, I would say.
Yeah, we'll get into more of the outcome of the game and what that's going to mean on playoff implications. We're going to get into that now that I'm off my rant, off my soapbox for that. We'll get into like playoff implications, as you do have a massive weekend coming up. Like first time ever, two 12-0 teams have met in the Big Ten title. Like obviously I'm not oblivious to what is coming in Indianapolis in Indiana's backyard. It is indoors though, and Ohio State has some track stars, but there's no question the best quarterback Ohio State will play all year, will have played all year, plays for IU. So certainly not the hatred for that university that I do, the team up north, but I'm expecting a good game, and again we'll get into that, but before we get too much into like Heisman, CFP, playoff or championship weekend, let's get a little bit into the stock up, stock down. Let's get into some of the bulk of this and understand who is up after the regular season has come to an end.
All right, I got three guys and an honorable mention just because I need to honor this guy. But first one up, guy went crazy this weekend. Jaden Baugh, running back Florida, on his little bro, Florida State. They were kind of back and forth and they finally pulled away. 38 carries, 266 yards, 2 touchdowns. He just dominated them. He had like 20 carries in the first half. It was insane. His prices definitely went up. I fell into the FOMO. I bought a couple of his autos. I bought some blue autos for like 40, $50. I'm like, I like this kid. So I'm real in on Jaden Baugh. Looks good. Just he kind of reminds me of like maybe like an Isaiah Pacheco kind of guy, just an angry little dude and just runs people over, little bowling ball guy. So Jaden Baugh gets my seal of approval.
Well, it's actually crazy you say this. I had heard his stuff had went up. It's up. You and I had actually FaceTimed talking college football, last week sometime, and ripped a case of Sapphire football together. And I actually have his PAP. I couldn't stop hitting that dude in cases. And yeah, it's the non-autoed version, so I don't have the autoed PAP. But I have the non-autoed Pepperdasha from Sapphire, so might have to get that up, get some content around that, because a variation auto to 5 just did 500, and a Sapphire orange auto at 25 just did $200. Refractor green 1099, yeah, green refractor auto, $72. Variation auto to 25, $170. So his stuff didn't just it didn't just trickle up. It's skyrocketed. It's on another planet from where it might have been. I mean, gold shimmer, 255. That's like Jadarian Price, like Love. Yeah. That's probably not far from Jeremiah Love. That's probably not far from the best running back in America. Like, what do you think of Jeremiah Love gold shimmer auto or gold shimmer auto does?
I guess 400 or 500.
Oh no, you think it's that high? I would have guessed 3.25.
Yeah, I only say that.
True gold, 425.
Yeah, I only say that because I sold a lot of Jeremiah Love this weekend. I sold 2 fuchsias for 300 apiece.
I was right. Gold shimmer, 305. True gold, different. Gold shimmer.
Okay.
Gold shimmer, that's 20%. That's 20% higher. That's crazy. Is this guy like the real deal, like long-term, like NFL kind of guy, or is this like a...
So, yeah, I've been doing some deep dives on him, and it seems like for like the draft, he's a true sophomore. He came in last year as a true freshman, took over that running back room, and it seems like he's like a top draft guy for next year potentially. And it seems like with all this coaching staff uncertainty, we haven't even talked about all that and just the chaos of the transfer portal. But yeah, with that, it's like priority up there with like DJ Lagway. If you even want, I know some people are probably out on DJ Lagway, but it's like, let's actually maybe pay Jaden Baugh instead of DJ Lagway. Like, I'm sure there's probably some people who are in that camp for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great one. Great pull out of you there. Great start. Who's number 2? All
right, number 2, another running back. He had a great week last week, and then he came back this week. UCF was beating BYU 14-0, and then I think they scored like 30 unanswered. So LJ Martin, running back BYU,
dog,
22 touches, 95 yards, 3 touchdowns. Last week he had 222 yards, 2 touchdowns. So over 325 yards over the last 2 weeks, 5 touchdowns. And I've been buying into that FOMO as well. Some of his auctions this week did end a little bit low, but like his blues, his golds, they're doing 40, 50, 60. Not quite the Jaden Ba, but this guy is definitely picking up hype. McShay on his podcast is like, hey, LJ could declare this year he might be a top 100 guy, which I'm hoping is not the case. I would prefer like, hey, let's build this hype into the offseason. It's going to be him, Price, if he stays, and
Yeah.
Martin as like the top three backs next year, and Jaden Ba now. So that's kind of my approach with LJ Martin, but he's been going up some of his autos. He at the time of release, his base autos were maybe $5 to $10. So now it's like $20 is kind of your
Yeah,
floor right there.
refractors are over $30 now. Interesting. Yeah, again, we'll get more into it in a second, but I think that's going to be an issue. You brought it up quickly, but the coaching carousel is going to have a lot of impact on this. On the potential for plays. I think one that stands out is what losing Will Stein at Oregon does to Dante Moore's decision. Dante Moore's been a guy that's been talked about for coming back. Oregon thought pretty highly that they were going to be able to retain him, but is Dante Moore now a edge first rounder, like late first round kind of guy? Can he move up the draft board and guarantee, what, five or what is that, 8 figures, like, $10+ million to be a first round quarterback? Or do you think Oregon can keep him? Like, I think there's a lot of unknowns. That's just one example, but obviously with so many coaching, decisions, like what does Lane Kiffin at LSU mean now, and who stays there? We've talked about Michael Van Buren a lot. Like, I heard some rumblings, again, just some like deep out of left field takes, but does Bryce Underwhelm go down to LSU? He was originally committed there until Larry Ellison and Portnoy said, here's, $12 million to come to Michigan. I think this cycle is going to be really, really interesting to see who ends up elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I agree. Would love to discuss more during our kind of value bin section. So
All right. Love
uh,
it.
last one, kind of a wild card here. He lost this weekend, but no shame in that, I guess. It was Ole Miss. So Kamario Taylor, quarterback. They decided to roll him out as I think that was his first career start. True freshman. He's got autos in Leaf. They lost. He looked a little kind of lost at points, but I think his prices kind of went up. He had a huge run. I think it was like a 40-yard touchdown run. Just looked very explosive, kind of like Deuce Knight last week. But the same with Mississippi State. And they're like, "Yo, this kid's the future. What's going to happen? Are we going to have to pay him? Is somebody else going to come grab him?" So I would say, his prices. You probably argue he could be a value bin guy, but I think he's definitely got some momentum. I would say a little electric player.
Quarterback for who?
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. Gotcha. They ended up losing the egg. They ended up losing the Egg Bowl, right? Lane Kiffin's last game.
Yes. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. They were in it and then they just kind of broke at the end. But Kamario Taylor, at least like, hey, you've got something to look forward to in the future.
Where do you know where they ended up finishing in the SEC? Like, you mentioned like there's a future. Like, obviously the SEC is a lot different now with like Texas and Oklahoma and some of those former Big 12 schools that have come over. Is there enough talent there? And what is that? What is that, Oxford? Is there enough talent there?
No, that's Ole Miss. That's Starkville is Mississippi
Starkville,
State.
yeah, Oxford's Ole Miss.
hmm
Like, is there enough talent there around him to compete? Like, it was Shapen, right, in the past.
Yeah. Shapen's been there, been injured, been inconsistent, not the greatest, but I've always liked Mississippi State. Last year they played a lot of games tough, and you just wouldn't expect it. They're 20, 30 point dogs, and they're in the fight. They eventually just break against like your Texas and UGAs and schools like that. But I did believe in them last year. This year they started 4-0. They beat ASU. That was a crazy, shocking game in week 2.
Yeah, lost to
And they
Texas
played a
in
lot of
overtime.
teams. Yeah, Texas. They played Florida tough. Tennessee was one score. Georgia, I feel like they were playing pretty tough. So they're just pesky. I think they're hopefully a transfer portal away. A team that I like. They're kind of, who they remind me of, Ryan. They remind me of like Georgia Tech 2 years ago. So like give them another year or two, and they can hopefully be right there. Give them some portal classes, and I feel like they could probably turn things around. I believe in them. Just the talent wasn't quite there, but they're still super competitive against some of the top teams. They've got some fight.
It just still makes me wonder on like when we might actually see a Buckeye like on this list again. Like, it just feels like we're well overdue. So I'm gonna add one here. I'm gonna give you a stock up. Give me Julian Sayin. right? California kid, can't handle the cold. I was spending some time on some of his stuff this morning, just looking at it. Like, obviously he's got a big one this weekend against Indiana, and we'll get into that in a second, because I believe, I've said this for a while, like, this is on record, I believe the winning quarterback from this weekend's Big Ten title, 12-0, that quarterback will win the Heisman Trophy. We'll get into that in a second on who you think it's going to be. But Julian Zayin stuff is hot right now. A auto for jersey number from the National to 15 cracked ice, just at $400. One of the open edition autos, one of these Panini Instant autos that they had sold on their website, I believe, going into last season. It was like right around like the end of the year. A PSA 10 just at $560. Mind you, I've sold these a couple weeks ago for like, they were like in the $350 range. $560. A Prism Auto rookie PSA 10 from last year's Prism Draft Picks, just did $600. He has a Luminance Auto PSA 10 from 24 Luminance, $475. Like, PSA 9 tie-dye patch auto, $725. This guy his stuff is moving. It is up there. And again, I'm a believer that the winner of the Big Ten championship will also win the Heisman Trophy. So again, I know we'll get into that in a second, but since we didn't get a Buckeye on there, I figured I might as well go ahead and put one on there myself.
Yeah, might as well. Might as well. I do have the Panini, whatever the instant is. I've got one at PSA. Hopefully, it comes back just in time for a national championship. But
I have a
that one I'm
cracked ice
excited.
auto from the Panini NIL set there right now, so could use a could use a nice PSA 10 on that here real soon.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, are you ready for stock down?
Wait. Didn't you have an honorable mention?
Yes, I did, but then we were kind of getting into it. But yeah, I'll just go Diego Pavia, and I'll save
Oh,
it for our little
no.
Heisman conversation. I had him last week. You were kind of laughing at me, and you were like, "Ah, ha, ha, Gabe, you're so silly." And then they go in, they beat Tennessee. He's now number 3 in Heisman odds. I don't know, Ryan.
All right, we'll get into that in a second. We'll save that nonsense here for a few more minutes. All right,
Okay.
who's on stock down? Who's down this week?
Stock down, unfortunately, Marcel Reed. I've been buying him. I was very disappointed just
Yep.
losing to Texas. I've thought that they've been super complete this entire season. His stuff was super hot, and now, unfortunately, just losing this late into the season kind of deflates things. I don't think people are going to be like panic selling. Like, I feel like there's still a lock in the playoffs, but
Yep.
just, if they win that game, I don't know. I feel like people clamor for them to, potentially, I guess it depends on how that Big Ten game goes, where, how far would Indiana fall? Or, like, if it's a close game, do you keep Indiana too, or vice versa with Ohio State? So,
Yep.
yeah, just kind of disappointing in general right there.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's still gonna have an opportunity to do something in the playoff. Like, they're gonna be a top 5 or 6 team at this point. I mean, they only have one loss. I can't imagine, even if Alabama wins, you would put Alabama above them with 3 losses for Bama. So you look at it and you got Texas Tech, I guess, wins, the Big 12, like, they could be up there. I'm trying to think, like, at this point, Ohio State and Indiana are locks for bye, so that's 2 of your top 4 teams. So it's going to come down to, you've got Georgia in there. If Georgia wins in the SEC, they're a top 3 team. They're above A&M. And then it's going to come down to, like, Texas Tech. It's, man. I guess that would probably be the 4th team. Like, if Texas Tech wins the Big 12, you put Texas Tech above A&M, I would imagine. You'd give Texas Tech the bye at 4, and you'd move A&M to the 5 slot.
Yeah,
Oregon goes to 6.
I'm cool with that.
So we'll see. Obviously, a big weekend ahead, but yeah, lot to still unfold. What about number 2?
Yes. Number 2, all right, little rivalry edition here. Jordan Tyson, Arizona
Hmm.
State wide receiver. I like him. I thought it was a great player last year, but the guy
Your tweets
ran
would
he
your
ran
tweets would say otherwise about you liking Jordan Tyson. I've seen the tweets about Jordan Tyson.
I like him as a player, but my God, he is in like top 5 mock drafts, and there's no way I'm touching this guy. He's had 3 season-ending injuries, tore his ACL like 3 years ago, broken collarbone last year. He was just running cardio this weekend. He ran maybe like 2 series out there, and then they held him out for the rest of the game. And it's like, this guy cannot stay healthy. And I just, he probably could have led the. I think he's pretty close in receiving yards for like the top in the country, but he just missed a bunch of games this year. Just can't stay healthy. Was running cardio this weekend, and I'm kind of over it. And he's getting so much top 5 love, and I'm just like, I don't like it. I don't like it. Stock down on Jordan Tyson.
Yeah, there's no question Jordan Tyson stuff is stock down. I mean, his base autos are doing, I think the last one's like $40, and those were doing 90 near release. He was probably one of the top 5 to 8 selling guys in the entire product around release. He was higher than Pavia on most things. He was higher than Perbula on most things. He was higher than a lot of guys. His first Bowman auto ended up doing $700 in early November for like the My First Bowman Blue. So, yeah, I mean, his stuff was moving in early around release, and some of the better stuff still does okay now. Like I think a stealth auto around release did like 320, and one of those recently just sold for 225, 255, something like, yeah, 255. So not a huge drop on those. I think it's more like the base and some of the lessers, the lower end stuff that's really seen the biggest fall. But yeah, no question. I mean, elite talent, but dude's gotta stay healthy.
Yeah. So I'm out. But to your point, and we've mentioned this before, I feel like the high end stuff doesn't drop as much, but that low end definitely sees a bigger hit. So do what you will with that information. All right, last one, more rivalry edition here. Bryce Underwhelm. Just you're trotting out there, 60 something yards. I'd be curious to know how his prices sustain. Like, I just don't know how you can look at Bryce Underwood as a prospect and be like, yeah, year 2 sophomore jump, I feel good about, everything, unless they go out and buy the best receivers in America and support him. And I don't know, he's got a lot to figure out here, because I would argue he's one of the most for sure underwhelming, just worst quarterbacks in Power 5, and we're just anointing him as the number 1 recruit, $12 million guy. I want nothing to do with Bryce. I will not be prospecting Bryce Underwood cards at all. I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've already had my sentiment on this. Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be people regardless that will buy his stuff. The narrative of second year, they've added guys in the portal, guys come back to beat Ohio State and to win the Big Ten. That's going to be either the narrative, or it's he transferred, he's finally got weapons, he's in a new system, he gets a fresh start. Like this narrative is going to be played for Lagway if he goes, Raiola if he goes, like Levitt if he goes. Like this narrative is not just going to be Bryce Underwood. This is how this works now. Like cards, NIL, portal days, like this new era of sports cards and in college football. Like there's a plethora of cards of these guys, and they can go wherever they want. So with this ability now, like whether you like it or agree with it or not is a whole different story. But we're going to see this if Raiola stays or goes. We're going to see this with Lagway if he stays or goes. Like they got new coaches, they got new weapons, they got a fresh restart. Like whatever the story is going to be, somebody is going to convince themselves that Bryce Underwood or Bryce Underwhelm or underperform or whatever is a buy. Like it's going to happen. No question about it. It's just going to be a matter of like, do you agree with it? And are you going to, ride that train? I have no interest in getting on that one.
Yeah, I have no interest. Yeah, you see it everywhere with the portal, which, I mean, in general kind of helps just the card market and prospecting, where it's like, oh, fresh start and, needed a change of scenery, whatever. Look at like 100%. Jackson Arnold in Auburn. And just, hey, they dominated the portal. They're bringing him in. He needed a new start. I get it. But, yeah, I would be curious to see where prices ultimately fall for Bryce Underwood. And I don't need to prospect Bryce Underwood. Don't want it. Not interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't Pokemon. We don't got to catch them all. I want nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, what do you want to get into next? You want to do a little bit of the Heisman chatter? I know you brought it up earlier on the Pavia conversation. You want to get into the little value box play, like you want to talk championship weekend?
Let's wrap up with value box, because I want to go into the Heisman. So, all right, value box. I was debating on this guy last week, and I was like, you know what? I'll just save him for next week because I think he'll probably be safe. Matt Zollers, Missouri quarterback. So last week I hit you with the freshman Dallas Wilson. And like, hey, his price is, he's out for the year, but still pretty high if you find him in a dollar box or value bin. And you're like, well, his image does kind of look like a variation. So you got me there for sure. But Matt Zollers, his autos still hold a pretty decent premium. He was a high 4-star kid coming out of high school. Apparently he had like a devastating knee injury. They thought he might not ever play football again. Bo Prabula goes down. Didn't play great in that time, but still a $20 floor auto. Some of his high end you can probably see still does pretty well for a backup, young kid, I guess. But yeah, just something to look out for, I would say. I feel like not a lot of people would know the name, dismiss it, throw it in a value box, and a $5 auto turns into 20 real quick there.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got some bigger sales too. A couple of the red shimmer autos have done high, above two. Refractor and base autos seem to hover between like 15 and $30, depending on like, day of the week and auction and pictures and title. So some different stuff that goes into that. I guess the question for you is this a guy that's going to end up competing for a job next year? Like, I know Prabula got hurt. Like, is Prabula going to transfer to Penn State again? Like, where do you see this? Like, do you see this as like a quick short-term kind of flip, or is this something you look at and say, like, this is a guy I'm buying for $5 and holding it going into, the start of next season?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, it just depends. We'll have to wait for the coaching carousel and all that. I mean, they did lock down Drinkowitz there, so I imagine Prabula stays. So it's like, all right, Zollers, what do you want to do? That'll be Prabula's last year. So it's like, do you want to sit for 2 years? Was he even like prepared to play this year? I don't know. He's not a guy that I would like buy at like a buy it now price, but like I wouldn't hate it if I'm finding him in a $5 box, and I'll store it for 2 years if I have to just to seed. So not someone I'm in like a rush to like, ooh, this is a sneaky play that I'm really stashing up. But like if I
Yeah.
see it, sure, I'll grab it.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I don't hate it. Again, I think anytime, we talked about that, like when we rip Chrome, it's like anytime you can pull a quarterback, like there's always that opportunity. It just takes one. And I think that's the, important thing here is, again, this guy's probably not on a lot of people's radars. So probably an opportunity to flip if you can find it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Heisman.
All right. What do you got for me?
All right. So I would just like to make a case for my client, Diego Pavia.
Oh, God.
Take Diego off of Vanderbilt. And what are they doing? So in my mind, I think the Heisman Trophy should be who carried their team the hardest. That's where my mind goes. Take Diego out. Take Cam Scadaboo off of Arizona State last year. See if they even sniffed the playoffs. So I'm just saying, take Diego out of the equation. What does that team look like? And I think he's just the best player in college football. Now, even if
That's
we want to go a
crazy.
different angle,
That's crazy.
even if we want to go,
That's crazy,
All right.
man. You don't even, you laugh. Like, that's not serious.
Well,
That's
because
not even real.
you're calling me crazy, and I'm just getting started here. There's more. So, all right, the best talent, the best talent in college football, Jeremiah Love, in terms of like best carrying his team.
You
literally
think Jeremiah
figuratively.
Love is a better talent than Jeremiah Smith? You believe that. You
Well,
believe that in your head. Like, you've convinced yourself that Jeremiah Love is better at football at his own position than Jeremiah Smith is at his.
Well, okay. When you got to look at the whole picture though, because I'm like, all right,
Any
like
of these arguments, talent, best player, any of those arguments, the carrying thing is different. Like, I can get behind that. The most talented college football player in the country, talent, skill, elite, like whatever you're calling it, is Jeremiah Smith. It is not up for debate. It is not an argument. That dude is a top 12 wide receiver in the NFL tomorrow. Like, that Jeremiah Love is good. He's great. I've been very vocal since the beginning of the season that Jeremiah Love is the best running back in America. He is elite. He's Saquon Barkley-esque. He's great. Jeremiah Smith might be the greatest college football wide receiver ever by the time this is all said and done. I just think we're talking about two totally different things here.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'll give you that one. Bad take, sure, but I'll live with it. Now, my final one, and this is where I'm like, all right, he's calling me crazy right now. Just wait till he hears this one. All right, replace Julian Sayin with like a CJ Carr, with a Carson Beck, with Trinidad Chambliss, and that team would be just fine. They're still going 12-0. I
No
think
way. You're crazy.
I
That's
think
insane. That's insanity.
it's like you could put a lot of quarterbacks in there and still go 12-0. I think he's still a great quarterback, but I'm just saying there's probably a lot of quarterbacks you could throw in there.
Yeah, I mean, you had a more talented Ohio State roster last year and lost 2 games. Lost at Oregon, like lost at home to Michigan. Like, Julian Sayin just completed the single greatest college football season for completion percentage ever. His touch is like, again, did you watch the 50-yard bomb to Carnell? Like, the guy looks, one way, pulls off the safety, then stands in the middle of the field and just, on a dime. Like, he's the best pure passer I've ever seen at Ohio State. Like, he's got it. Again, like, you can't punish the guy for saying this happens every year with like Ohio State with like coach of the year in the Big Ten. It's like, because Ohio State has elite talent everywhere, it's like they can't win awards. They can't, like, they're not coach of the year. They're not Heisman. Like, just because like they've got Jeremiah Smith, like they just couldn't win, because if anybody had Jeremiah Smith, they would be good. Well, Julian Saint has him. He's really good. He hasn't lost. And I think if he wins this weekend and puts, the guy, let's just 3,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, number one in the country in QBR, number one in the country in completion percentage, number one all time for a regular season in college football history, the history of the sport for completion percentage. Yeah, the guy's the real deal. If he beats Indiana, he'll win. If not, if Mendoza wins, it's over. It's not an argument. It's not a debate. Fernando Mendoza took Indiana to 13-0. A couple guys on here love Indiana. We've got, BK is Indiana guy. Our guy Brad, who's been on the pod before, who helps, with all of our shows, and a lot of those are in Indiana. Loves, these guys. Brad's more of a Notre Dame guy, but like his son's an IU guy. Like they're IU. I won't be distraught like if I lost to Michigan if IU wins. IU's a good team like that. Yeah, they're actually talented. Mendoza's going to win the Heisman if he takes Indiana to 13-0. 13-0 and number one in college football. This is a team that 5 years ago was like Simi Cobbs and Michael Penix and like Tevin Coleman. Like they've got some guys, but like undefeated Indiana on top of college football, dude should win the Heisman. It wouldn't be close. Like, you could make the argument, and I could live with the argument now that like Mendoza should win. Like, I would be like, you know what? That makes sense. The guy took Indiana undefeated through the Big Ten. I believe the Big Ten to be one of, if not the best conference in college football. Like, Michigan's not as good this year. Penn State stinks. Like, a lot of arguments. I get that. Like, Oregon is good. They beat Oregon. Like, so I am a believer that the top Big Ten quarterback who went undefeated in college football and beat the other one, that person's going to win the Heisman Trophy. It's not like, unless they both go like 50% completion percentage, sub 250 yards, no more than one or two touchdowns, and they each throw one or two picks, I get it then. Like, then Pavia has a shot. Then, Jeremiah Love, maybe an outside chance. But to me, it's just, if one of those guys, if Julian Saint does what he did against Michigan and wins the game, 240 yards, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 incompletions, post interception. That guy's going to win the Heisman Trophy in New York the following weekend.
Yeah. No, I don't argue against it. I would just like to make a little case, little debate, little argument there for my guy Diego Pavia.
Yeah, we could have put Diego Pavia's brother on Stock Down this week. It looked like he didn't have a great night at the Tennessee game. I saw those tweets going around. Man, it's definitely an interesting family just from like what you've seen through social media. Like, the guy is, I was gonna say a less talented Johnny Manziel, but that would be disrespectful to Johnny Manziel, because what Johnny Manziel did, like, Johnny Manziel probably should have won 2 Heisman trophies. Dude was insane. Especially that second year. Yeah, it's fun to watch, but that show's gonna end. But I say it's gonna end. Let's talk through this. Who is going to be, and we can kind of tie this into like some potential plays here, because I think with Texas winning, Vandy winning, we're really gonna get in this spot where like this CFP is gonna be crazy to end it. And obviously there's some like stipulations around like a group of 5 school has to get in. But it's going to be like, who wins the ACC? Who wins the Big 12? Is Miami going to get in over Notre Dame for beating them? But Notre Dame's, I think most people would tell you, is a better team now. But like, are we going to make that precedent? Are you going to punish Texas for going to Columbus on week 1? they lost to a Georgia team in this, or a Florida team in the Swamp. I get that. They lost to Georgia. But, like, are you going to punish them for going to Columbus? Because if you are, you'll tell everybody just to schedule, the worst teams you can find, because the games don't matter. But if you put Notre Dame in over Miami, then you're also telling them they don't matter. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. You just have to be playing well in the last 4 weeks. Rest all your starters, win enough games, and as long as you're playing well the last couple weeks, that's all that matters. So I think we're really going to, I'm going to guess, I mean, it just seems more obvious, but, we're going to set some kind of precedent with this CFP. Somebody's going to get left out, because unless you put Texas and Miami in over all of those other teams, what happens if Bama wins? What happens if Bama beats Georgia in the SEC title? Who are you going to put in here? There's only 12 teams that can get it, but you've got, 7 or 8 of them locked up for sure, 9 of them most likely. Where do you sit right now with who is going to get in to the CFP?
I mean, I have some more hot takes just in general.
Here we go.
I'm already heating up. I might as well just spew them. I don't need to see Ole Miss or Oklahoma in the College Football Playoff. I don't care.
Wow. Wow.
I don't need to see a struggling Oklahoma. I get it. At the beginning of the season, everyone's like, wow, Oklahoma's got, it was like Florida last year. It's like, there's no way they get through this gauntlet. Well, here they are at 10-2, but they're just so underwhelming. Just I get it. They get by, but I don't see it. I don't love it. I don't need to see them. Get them out of there. Ole Miss, I've never been impressed with them. They've struggled with a lot of bad teams all season. They lose their head coach. They lost their whole offensive staff, it appears. I'm just like, I don't need to see them. I'm not super impressed with Ole Miss. So get them out of there, make room for another team, I guess. While I'm hot, I might as well throw some more hot takes out. So that's where I'm at there. But if we're being realistic, what actually happens, I would say Alabama rounds it out. And then you get who do I have? Oh, then Notre Dame. I'm fine if you leave Miami out. I get it head to head,
but crazy.
I don't know. I'll take Notre Dame in there. I don't need to see Miami. BYU, I'm gonna fight for. Their only loss was to Texas Tech, who's potentially a bye team, and that's it. So it's again, do you punish them for an average Big 12 schedule? I would advocate for BYU as well, though.
Okay, so we're looking at this with Ohio State, Indiana, likely buys. Are you insinuating there that you believe Bama's going to beat Georgia?
I've doubted Georgia all year. I'm going to do it. Just Georgia's going to win.
Okay, so Georgia's going to win. So Georgia.
Yeah.
So I'm going to guess then if Georgia wins, I'm going to assume Ohio State wins. Again, bias. I think Ohio State's favored. Let's say those two win. So you would have Ohio State. I'm gonna tell you, man, I don't think the committee would put Indiana above a 1-loss Georgia, who redeemed, I believe their only loss was to Bama, right? Kirby Smart's record against Bama is not good. I think that was their only loss. So I think it would then go Ohio State, Georgia, Indiana, Tech if they win, right? Tech if they win. Then you would have A&M, Oregon, Oklahoma, Ole Miss. This happened before when, who was it? Florida State quarterback. Was it Jordan Travis? Jordan Travis got hurt. They got left. Didn't they get left out?
Yeah.
Weren't they undefeated?
Yeah, they were undefeated, and they were between the 4 and the, I guess, 5, and then they put Alabama in.
Are you going to leave out Ole Miss because Lane Kiffin's not there?
It's part of I'm an Ole Miss hater. I'm not a believer in them. So
no, I'm just it's more of a rhetorical question.
Oh, yeah, sure. Still, yes.
I don't think the committee is going to leave them out for not having Lane Kiffin, but it's the same thing. It's similar to the Jordan Travis thing, where it's the guy that leads your college football program is not going to be there. He's gone. He doesn't. You have an interim. Again, how much do you punish them there? We'll say they don't. So then you've got what is that? Oregon, Ole Miss. So that gets us through 7. 8 is Oklahoma. So you've got those. So then you've got Notre Dame. Alabama would be out. They would have 3 losses. I misspoke earlier. I said 3. They only had 2, but they would then lose to Georgia. in the SEC title. You're going to keep a 3-loss Alabama team in there after losing the SEC title. They say they won't punish them for playing on the last weekend of the year, but they would have 2 losses. They'd be above Texas, who just beat the number 3 team in the country by double digits. You put in BYU, and you put in a Miami team that beat Notre Dame in. Vandy, you're telling me this Diego Pavia guy's a Heisman? Are they one of the hottest teams? Are you putting them in, who just beat the number 19 team in the country in Tennessee? Man, God, I don't got to make those decisions. I really hope, I know it won't happen, but I would love to see Notre Dame get left out. That's the team I'm certainly not wanting to play, and I would love for the community to be like, yeah, Miami beat you, you're out. I would love for that to happen. It's probably not going to happen. Makes for better college football, I know, but man, I don't want to play Notre Dame right now. Just beating that team, like, what do we beat them 3 or 4 times in a row? You know, you have the McCord game, you have the home game, then you beat them in the CFP, like, beating Marcus Freeman and that team 4 times in a row, I'm like, I don't really want to go against them right now. So I'm really hoping that's not like the 8-9 matchup like it is now, like Oklahoma, Notre Dame, winner plays Ohio State. That would suck. That would suck. Go Sooners.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I feel like we'd have to go back. This would be an interesting little flashback, but like we have to go back to last year. I don't feel like there was like this much debate or scenario last year. I feel like everyone was like, all right, like, you know, I think it was like Clemson and like South Carolina as like the final 2 spots, and it's like I feel like last year was pretty clear cut as to who, like there was only one team that you would really miss out on. It's like, yeah, I feel like the committee got it right, but here it's like there's probably 6 teams that are potentially in for like 2 spots.
Yeah, I think the thing they ended up doing this year, though, which I think what's nice about this year, though, is not the automatic 1 through 4 seeds. Like, you actually put them in based on rank. So like Boise State got 3 and got boat raced by Penn State, got a bye for nothing. So that's actually one thing that I like about this year. So yeah, I don't have the rankings up here now. Like Ohio State was the 8 seed, Tennessee was the 9. Arizona State got a bye. Yeah, Clemson ended up getting in, got beat by double digits at Texas, but yeah, just excited, man. First round games too at home. Like, that's awesome. That is so great for college football. That is, I'm glad Ohio State will have a bye, but it is crazy to think we have college football playoff games at home. Like, look how far it's come. That's cool. Now, based on like where you think this is going to finish, any guys you're kind of like keeping an eye on, maybe a value box type guy, maybe a quick flip type guy. There's probably going to be a flip opportunity here if somebody wins and gets in this weekend, or because chaos ensues, you'll have an opportunity to buy somebody different.
So, you know what I've been doing, honestly? I've been keeping an eye on, and this is crazy because like at the time of the release, it's like, dude, why do we need all these guys and so many of them? I'm looking at Texas Tech, and I know I just slammed Ole Miss, but I'm looking at Texas Tech and Ole Miss wide receivers. They've got a ton of them. Each one of the, like, it's playing darts literally when you're talking about those receivers and pass catchers, but I just feel like someone's gonna make a big play. Like, it's like Matthew Golden a year ago was not like a huge, like that was a $10 auto, and he went up to like $50 after his playoff run. So it's like I just look at those guys who, like, I'm buying blue Ole Miss color match autos of any of these wide receivers for $10. I feel like I can sell that for $10 immediately, no matter what happens. So like I'm gonna take the chance for a big play, and it's playing darts. It's a lottery ticket, but I'm looking at these wide receivers that are kind of undervalued, that have maybe some draft capital as well. But I just feel like everything else is kind of priced accordingly. But that has been one kind of play I've been looking at on the side there.
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity for a couple different ones. LJ Martin comes to mind if BYU ends up getting in. That just comes to mind quickly. But I think the other one is like, who do you envision like going farther and like having a moment? I think the Texas Tech one is definitely interesting because I think that is an elite defense. So you've got like, and they automatically have, if they win, they could have a bye. So I think that's where I think a lot of the plays come from for me is, who do I envision going farther in this than most? And it's, if you believe Notre Dame's going to go, if you believe Ohio State's going to get there, if you believe Georgia's going to make a run, then I think that's where I look at a lot of opportunity. But I think the point is very true. Like, there's gonna be somebody that's not on a lot of people's radars that's going to have a moment during one of these games. They're gonna be heavily watched, and there's gonna be click 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 click. These sales are gonna just start flying. So yeah, I'm eager to see what happens. But man, next week's gonna be a lot of fun because we're gonna get to dissect it and understand who got in, and then maybe dive into some of those plays more because you're going to have a little bit of time, right? Like when we talk about this next week, we'll then, we'll dissect it, see who the plays are. Then it's Heisman Trophy on that Saturday night. And then the following weekend, that 19th, 20th, is when we get into the first round of games, the home games. And then it's not until New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, until we get into the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Peach Bowl, those games. So yeah, a little bit of time, especially if you think your team's going to have a bye. So if you're looking at a Mendoza to make a title run, if you think it's Sane, if you think it's a Bo Jackson for Ohio State at running back, those guys are likely not playing until New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So it's going to leave a little bit more opportunity for guys like that who are going to have some time off.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, plenty of plays to be made. It's lottery tickets, dart throws, but that's the fun of prospecting. I do like the BYU. Hopefully they can win. That was their only loss this season. So that's kind of another one that I'm looking at for sure. But yeah, those Ole Miss and who else did I say? Oh, Texas Tech pass catchers.
Yep.
I feel like there's some value to be had.
All right. Well, exciting couple days coming up. And the nice part about this is we'll also have some more stuff to start putting on some of these like stock watch here and maybe some more play opportunities because Prism Draft Picks actually comes out today, the day this podcast drops. And then Bowman's Best University comes out Friday. So excited to, dissect both of those products and maybe get some of those in our future stock watches. So really good time for college football, with in National Treasures football. Collegiate is coming out before too long. So, by the time the games come in a couple weeks, we'll have 3 new college football products out by the first round of opening weekend. So, yeah, some more stuff coming to Stock Watch very, very soon.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm excited. This is one of the best times of the year. Bowl season, nonstop football, just nonstop drama with coaches, the portal, playoffs, everything. I love it.
Love it. All right. Thanks for another great episode. We'll see you next week. All right, shout out to our guy, Gabe Card Stacks, for another great week of Stock Watch. As we wrap it up, I kind of mentioned this earlier, that time of year. Busy, a lot going on. The market feels like we're in a good spot. But we are definitely going to see some major product release over the next 4 weeks. There's, we got 30 days now. 27 days, 28 days at this point, I think, until the end of 2025. And these companies are going out with a bang, point blank. This is how this year is going to end. There's a lot of stuff coming out. I'm going to tell you about just a couple of them, just a few of the major releases coming out. You guys ready for this? Obviously today, Prism Draft Picks Collegiate Football, one of the best. That drops today. Upper Deck, the Cup Hockey 24-25, drops today. Bowman's Best University Football, another great college football product, drops Friday. Got patch autos, got triple autos. Excited for that. That's a great one. Topps Star Wars Chrome Galaxy, one of the best Star Wars products. That drops on December 10th. Also on December 10th. Update Chrome Baseball, MLB debut patch autos. The single greatest trading card in modern day. The single greatest trading card you could ever make of a player, MLB debut patch auto. You've got so many big names. That drops on the 10th. 17th, NT Collegiate Football in National Treasures Racing. NT Collegiate Football is definitely one of my favorites. Then you've got Topps Chrome Cosmic Baseball. You've got Topps Chrome Basketball. You've got Wemby, LeBron, Cooper Flag, Con Knuppel, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, Giannis. I saw his signing. Topps Chrome Basketball is going to be a game changer. Flawless Baseball, Immaculate Football, and Prism Racing. That is just a couple of them, and that is before the 24th. So that is at some point in the next 3 weeks. That is a sample of what will drop. So exciting times ahead. We've got a few, again, that will drop this week. Like, you've got UEFA Champions Dynasty. That's another one I actually missed. Dynasty Soccer, UEFA. Like, that's a massive product. There's some insane patch autos in there. I know F1 Dynasty did really, really well and has done well. Especially, I mean, the box and case pricing on those. Like, a lot of demand for those. You've got Ginner Baseball, great collector set. Some big-time athletes, or some big-time, like artists, celebrities, influencers will be have autographs in there. So a lot of product coming this week, but again, the end of the year is near, and there's going to be some big product before we wrap up 2025. So a lot to get into on the next couple episodes. Some very special guests coming before the end of 2025. Make sure you guys subscribe if you have not already. But for now, that is all I got. Peace, guys.